at the camera. Don't. Not looking like. Okay, because it already started. So the first thing they showed us was, that, wasn't it?
Okay. Keep everything good as supposed to, so
Yes,
that's good.
and that's just my
Hey,
Hello.
pretty good. Okay.
How's it look?
It looks pretty good. Go ahead. I'm going to fix it.
We're in New York. Hello, and welcome to Relationship Rehab. We are in New York. We are actually in my my cousin's. What I want to say is flat because it reminds me of,
It does, yeah.
of a flat in England, but it's actually New York. Never really been to a New York.
It is
apartment.
very New York.
Very New York. That wall is all brick, which coming from Los Angeles, I mean being born and raised in Los Angeles and living in Miami, you don't see that much.
No.
Brick, exposed brick. So very cool. I'd like to thank him again for letting us. Oh, it's all. Anyway, so
They're frozen?
no, you're frozen.
Oh.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Did we unfreeze yet? Nope, we're not.
Now what
frozen.
happened? Okay. Hopefully we don't know what to do.
For some reason, she left the room.
Right, if he's coming back in to see. Go ahead, try logging on and logging back in on that one. As we do this. And see whether we stay frozen or what.
I don't know what happened.
I don't either. Can anybody else see us? I don't know. Yeah, I'm on the big computer. Everything looks fine.
Happy,
Happy.
but apparently not.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll find out here.
Well, I guess we could continue to talk
Yes,
because
we probably should.
yeah.
That is the right way of doing it.
that's
Anyhow,
a professional
so we are,
way,
Yes.
and we're all about being professional.
Yes. So we are here in New York.
So, what was it we were going to say? So we're here in New York and very excited, very different. It's been an interesting week. We've been writing about being a good wife. Actually, I've been writing about that because he really knows nothing about being a good
No,
wife.
I don't.
He's a lousy wife.
Yeah.
Great husband, lousy wife.
Lousy. Yes. I look horrible in the dress with the, the
Says you.
Yeah.
Says you.
I don't think I have the knees
Doesn't have-
for it.
Doesn't have the legs for
Yeah.
that.
A little fuzzy.
Well, I always tell him you need to shave for it, and he won't do it.
No.
So that's why I say lousy wife for that.
It's in the nylons that I shave.
And I tell him don't wear the new ones, but no, that's okay. So this is a conversation from a couple from 22 years. That we've been doing this for a long time, so don't try this at home.
Yes.
You haven't been married this long.
Yes. You could hurt yourself.
So yeah, we've been writing about that. It's been a very tumultuous time. It's a very stressful time for us. We have we're planning a big move. We're planning to move back to California
Yes.
this summer. Our daughter is graduating from high school this year, so we're doing all the college stuff with her. And
You seem to be moving. No.
we're moving again?
By the way.
No,
Okay.
well, kind of like choppy. So anyway, so it's been kind of stressful. So the idea of being able to write about something that we actually know about and not just speculating was kind of a relief.
Yes.
Um,
Or not needing to write about our deep emotional despairs and things of that sort.
yeah, I mean, sure, we could write about. Actually, we are going to do some work on the change that we're going through. I mean, we are going to be tackling the biggest changes that you could do as a family without killing somebody off or getting divorced.
True.
Those would be the other two big changes. But we're moving, which is a huge stressor, and we're losing one of our kids to college, and that's a huge stressor.
Right.
And it's funny because it's not funny,
So,
actually.
We're moving now?
Yeah, it's not really funny, but it was last week, wasn't it? A week ago? Yeah, because last week we didn't do a show. So last week was March 1st, we had to like put a down payment on our daughter's dorm room. And you know, the sad thing is that, okay, we want her to go to a certain school, and we haven't gotten a letter from that school yet. So, but we have gotten a letter from another school. So, which is also a great school, but it's really far away from where we want to live.
Yeah.
And
really, it's really far away from
everything. I mean, if you're from California and you're watching this, Humboldt is like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, nowhere.
Nice bleep there.
I know, thank you. I self-bleep nowadays. Not much, but I do when I'm being nice.
Yeah.
So, so she's in Humboldt. She got into Humboldt. She got an early acceptance into Humboldt. They've been nice to her. They've been courting her. They've been sending her stuff for scholarships. It's like, okay, great, fantastic, but we really don't want Humboldt because it's in the middle of nowhere, and we're going to be living in Southern California. We're not going to be living in
the other one would be so much more convenient for us.
Yeah, exactly, which is more important. But also, it's a good school.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we know, as you know, because we both grew up in Los Angeles, that Cal Poly Pomona is where science geeks go. So, and Jeannie is a science geek, so we wanted her to go there. Plus, it would be like an hour and a half away from us.
Right.
So, yes, it's about me. What?
Uh-huh. And
so,
me.
yeah. So, doing that, you know, and, you know, having to explain to her that, you know, we're operating as if this is where you're going to go, because, you know, if we don't do that and we miss the opportunity to get you a dorm room and all that, then it's our bad.
Yeah.
You know, and
we'd be way screwed.
We'd be really screwed, and it's like, where the hell are you going to live and all that. And so last week was a very, what would I call that, tearful week for me. Yeah, I cried a lot last week. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not getting what I want. So shit, I can do it again. So, but I have to deal. And I think that that's a good segue as, you know, talking about being a wife. You need to deal. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's one of the things I think that we forget, and it's never taught to us by our mothers or grandmothers or anything like that, ladies, is that, you know, being a wife is really just dealing with what you have. And the same thing goes for being a husband. Mm-hmm. You know, that we automatically think that, oh my God, we love each other so much and everything's so wonderful and everything's fine. And, you know, we're just going to love each other to death. That's a very little part of being married.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to interrupt you for 1 second, and because Hopeful Girl just hopped on. Are you guys okay?
Yeah, are you guys okay there in Hawaii?
Yeah, that's why I'm...
Yeah, that's true.
And then we'll get right back to...
Speaking of which, our thoughts, prayers, Japan, Hawaii, the West Coast.
Yeah, just...
Angie, are you guys okay?
I mean...
Are you underwater?
Obviously, she's... I get that, you know, she's a devoted fan, but if she was underwater, probably wouldn't have the computer going.
No, probably true.
But yes. Anyhow, go ahead. Keep going now with...
So, you know, being the good wife. Now, one of the things I wrote about this week, the first thing I wrote about, because this is stuff that comes up, you know, and it's funny because it comes up in weird conversation, like when a bunch of women get together, you get this almost like you either have one type of conversation or another. Either you have the "you, my husband" conversation, or you have the "God, I just love my husband" conversation. There's very little middle ground. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Either it's a bitch fest or it's a love fest. Either it's, you know, no sex, or it's, yeah, sex is great. Mm-hmm. There's very little middle ground in relationship anymore that I'm noticing. People aren't just okay. People are either just struggling or doing great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what you see in the movies all the
time. And I think that that's reflected in relationship nowadays. You know that, and a lot of the things that I'm seeing is. Not willing to do certain things women not willing to do certain things. Now, this is 2011. I don't get why certain women wouldn't do certain things like that.
Are we doing demonstrations?
Today.
No demonstrations?
Not today, no. I can't do those things in my cousin's apartment.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah.
That he wouldn't do those things in his
so
apartment.
much to be said on
I
that
know.
one.
These walls have seen things, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get, I mean, I have actually had conversations with married women who said, "Oh, I've never done that with my husband." And it's like, and like newly married women, not like my mom or something like that. I'm talking about newly married women who don't do certain things with their husband. And, and I'll just go out and say it, oral sex. The anal sex thing, for some reason, that's a you do it or you don't do it. That's, I just don't, having such no, I'm never going to do it things, I just don't get that. I really don't get why you would have such black and white rules when it comes to your relationship. I don't get that. I don't get it mainly because it shuts out conversation. When you shut out conversation, you're going to have a problem. Always. When you say, no, this is it, this is my line in the sand, see how good it worked for Lydia, this is my line in the sand, do not cross, you can't even, you're going to have a problem.
Well, actually, it kind of speaks to what you wrote about yesterday, the shadow stuff. It's like, if you've got that kind of reaction towards anything, then that's usually something in you that you might want to look at.
Right.
That's the general rule.
I think that we'll talk about that and like set the stage for the shadow stuff. Okay. There are certain female archetypes, and one of the archetypes that, basically you're one or the other, and then you're a bunch of other archetypes, but in terms of being a woman, and I mean a woman, not a little girl, not a woman, you are either an Aphrodite or you're a Psyche, okay, in archetype.
And what are those? You need to do
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite. Give the mythology.
Yeah. If you know anything about mythology, Aphrodite was created when, Cronus split his father's testicles into and threw them into the ocean. Okay? And from that was born, out of a giant clam from the depths of the ocean, Aphrodite. Now, Aphrodite is, everything about her story is power. She's coming from a guy's balls. She's coming from testicles. So, a guy's balls that we equate with where your strength lies, where a guy's strength lies are his balls, right? So, this woman is all balls. She's powerful. She's coming from the depths of the ocean. And, when you think of nature's manifestation of power, the ocean would be probably one of the top two things that you think of. So this is where the women come from. The power of water. Water is always considered a feminine thing. So when we think of water, we could think of something very soothing, but we could also think of something very destructive. And in the case of Aphrodite, she's more the latter than the former. She is the destructive force. Right. She's more the power of water that could just bulldoze a building down. Tsunami. Like we're seeing the tsunami stuff. That is Aphrodite power. It's cleansing, but it's a forced cleansing, kind of like a high colonic kind of thing. So that's Aphrodite. Aphrodite, the goddess. She ruled up there. She wasn't a consort. She was a goddess in her own right. Whereas all the other goddesses, they tend to be, shacking up with one of the big gods. Aphrodite didn't need that. She was,
standalone.
She was a standalone goddess. So, and which is a very rare thing in mythology. And so, cool. So then you have Psyche. Now Psyche was born human. However, well, she was born to humans. However, they said that she was created out of a single dewdrop. Okay? So notice, once again, the water theme, but now we're talking about subtle water and cleansing water and beautiful water.
Definitely something delicate.
Very delicate about it. And then Psyche is about innocence and about purity. And you think of dewdrops. What I envision is like that perfect rose in the morning with a couple of dewdrops on the. That's what we're talking about. That was Psyche, and Psyche was so amazing, and so innocent and pure and vibrant that people started to worship her because she was so amazing. That they would come from all over the place to worship her. In fact, they stopped worshiping Aphrodite and started worshiping her, and then this whole drama ensued. But we're not going to get into that because that's not the lesson today. That'll be the lesson probably in a couple weeks. But the thing is that you could either be Psyche as a woman, that innocence, that very feminine quality, like almost ethereal feminine quality, like nothing bothers you, and Psyche even after losing her virginity, because it's like because Psyche is considered virginal even after losing her virginity.
Like your mom.
Yeah. Which is she's an interesting one. But yeah, she's considered virginal. So if you think of women, think of married women, think of women who have already, known the touch of a man and all that. There are some women that can go through life maintaining that innocence and maintaining that virginal quality, that purity to them. And then there's some women that even without knowing the touch of a man, don't have that sheen to them. Or they lose it once they know, once they're with them.
I'm just a little side note.
Yes.
Because, I'm just thinking about both of our moms.
Mm-hmm.
Who, knowing both of our moms, they definitely have a Aphrodite quality to them. Mm-hmm. But both of them aspired towards Psyche.
Yes.
My mom's thing was always, I just wanted to be a mom and I wanted to be, it's like, well, my mom did stuff and there was never a doubt in my mind that, the virginal thing, not even as a younger man, I kind of knew that, my parents were getting it on.
Whereas my mom really maintained that she was a virgin. However, in every other aspect of her life, she was so Aphrodite. My mother ran businesses. We're talking in the 60s and 70s when that wasn't really seen. My mother was a working lady, always. And when I say ran businesses, she had like 100 employees and that kind of thing. And my mother was a bitch on wheels. And without wheels, right? I always thought she had wheels because of the way she moved. But she was a force, always. Always. However, in that respect, that was her Psyche respect. The sex stuff was her Psyche stuff that, she couldn't portray. Now, notice the difference. I have no idea if she was a Hellcat in bed. I don't think so. Something gives me the idea that she wasn't, or she isn't. It's almost as if she holds back in that area to try to maintain some of that purity and femininity, because that was so important back then. In her time, and remember my mother is Hispanic, the idea of being a loose woman, it takes you to this is a good story.
Okay.
When my cousin Terry was pregnant, she was like really pregnant, and we were on Terry Pop Watch. So that day I was there with her waiting for her to pop. And our aunt came over. Now funny that this is actually this cousin's grandmother. Okay? And he'd probably be laughing that I am talking about his grandmother. So,
no, actually not aunt, great aunt, right?
She's my great aunt.
Yeah.
She's my great aunt.
So that you get the generational difference here. These are great aunts.
Yeah, it's my great aunt. So great aunt, so it's my mom's aunt. She's my great aunt. And my cousin Terry's great aunt. So we're there and we're talking and we're laughing. Now Terry and I are very close. And Terry and I, we've shared pretty much, all there is to share. Anything that two women can share in terms of, experiences and whatever, and smoking cloves and shit like that. So, we're sitting there, and great aunt, she says, I need to ask you guys a question because, I've been reading things, I've seen things on TV that are kind of disturbing. I'm like, okay, go ahead, ask us the question. And she goes, well, my understanding is that nowadays, girls take it in the mouth and in the butt. To which, of course, Terry and I break down laughing and we start, laughing pretty hard. And so my aunt's like, no, seriously, answer the question. And then, I think one of us said, yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's not a bad thing. And she's like, oh, well, God, in my day, that never happened. That never happened. She's like, I know I never did that. And I'm pretty sure your grandmother never did that. Okay, my mom's mom and Terry's mom's mom. I'm pretty sure that she never did that. She goes, but I'm pretty sure your other aunt did that. Because the other aunt was rumored to have been a prostitute at one point. So, which of course was shocking to us that she would say that kind of thing, but very revealing to know that, okay, back in their day, that never happened. So, for my mom to grow up with these women as her example, of course, she would think that all sex is icky, all sex is bad. Now, I've caught my mother on several occasions kind of faltering on that. On the icky part, not necessarily the oral and the anal part, but I'm just saying. But, okay, now, what we have now, though, is either you are an Aphrodite or you are a Psyche, okay? And this is the archetype that you operate under as a woman. That is like almost like your mold that you operate under.
Not guys, just so you know.
Not guys. Well, some guys.
Yeah.
Different. So, and it's interesting when you react, like if you're a woman and you react to another woman, okay? Let's say that you are Aphrodite type. Let's say that you're like me, because I am very Aphrodite. And I get some girly girl woman person talking to me. My first reaction is you. I react. I used to react more. Very visceral. It's more like, oh my God, that kind of almost a weak, it's like what I perceived back then as a weakness. To be all, holly-hobbyish, I used to call it. And there to serve your man kind of girl, I just couldn't understand and or relate to it. Or that maintaining of that virginal purity that I don't understand either. That, don't talk about that because, it'll affect my little virginal ears. And, of course, the first thing I wanted to do was infect them. Change them, fix them, dirty them up, okay? Because that's the Aphrodite wanting to do that. And I'm positive that I affected them the same way. They saw me as crude and disgusting and why does she have to be like that and all that stuff. And you react. And you find that you react to these women and you don't know what it is because they are opposite to you. And, and it goes, this actually speaks to the arguments that are still on today, where if you're not a certain type of mom, if you aren't that perfect soccer mom that picks up your kids and has wholesome snacks, organic snacks in the car waiting for them with their chilled, water with a slight hint of citrus in it, so they can get some more vitamin C. And, if you aren't that mom that actually irons their clothes before they put them on in the morning, if you aren't that mom, then you are a failure. So there's judgment from that side. Or if you aren't the type of wife that, has her husband's food ready at night, we don't exist. That doesn't exist anymore in my world. I mean, I don't know. But, so there's reaction on both sides of the thing. Either you're too protective or you're not protective enough. Either you're too ballsy and out there or you're not doing that enough. It's a Psyche Aphrodite argument out there, wherever you go. Especially like if you read a lot of blogs and stuff like that, that's really what you're seeing. I mean, it's really just silliness because it's women fighting with women over how to be a woman. And the reality is that we're both right. The reality is that me as Aphrodite, I need to embrace my psyche because that is my shadow. What I'm reacting to when I see a psyche type of woman is my shadow, because there is a part of me that wants to be the girly girl. There's a part of me that wants to say things like, oh gosh, take care of me, and wants to feel that innocence again, and wants to feel, and wants to let go, because Aphrodites don't let go very easily, and wants to be taken care of. So embracing that psyche, and if you're a psyche type of woman, embracing your Aphrodite. Be the sex kitten. Because that's what Aphrodites ultimately are. They're the ones that say, sex is great, sex is fantastic. And they own that sexuality, and they own their sensuality, where psyches deny their sensuality as women, and the power and the sensuality of woman. So be a whole woman and do both. All right? So being a good wife, it takes it back to the Madonna whore thing.
Right.
Are you the Madonna or are you the whore? Are you the Donna Reed or are you the sex kitten? You can be both.
I mean, that is that perfect ideal wife would be both. Okay.
And it took me a long time, guys. I would not embrace my inner Donna Reed if you would have put a gun to my head 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Would have considered it a weakness.
Oh, yeah. Forget that. I mean, I could be a mom, but I would have to be a strong mom.
Yeah.
Being able to be girly with my daughter is one of my joys right now. I don't think I could have done that 20 years ago, 17 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah, I couldn't have done that.
I mean, quite honestly, we didn't.
No.
I mean, we didn't, we weren't the kind who
my
dressed up our daughter.
Well, no, we did dress up our daughter. My sister actually played with her hair. I would never, I'd brush her hair, I'd put her in my sister would actually get her hair ready, take it down, wet it again, do it again, and they would just spend hours doing that. I can't even imagine wasting that kind of time, even today. So.
I mean, that's, we dressed her in practical clothes. We dressed her so that she could play. We dressed her, that kind of stuff. We didn't necessarily dress her in the frilly little dresses, because we wanted her to look like a little doll and that kind of stuff. That was not.
Or, the idea of ever putting a child in a pageant.
Yes.
No, I mean, think about it. Where do you react?
Where you get the extremes.
Yeah.
Because with the shadow stuff, there are, with the archetypes, these are extreme personalities. You're looking at the two ends of the spectrum, where what we want to do is live somewhere in the middle. So when you're talking about the extreme psyche, these are the ones who have their kids in the pageants and want to create something beautiful for
my
them.
daughter dances.
Right.
My daughter's,
Yes.
my daughter is in ballet.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is that they are probably, the moms there are probably actually Aphrodite personalities who are so strongly reacting to their shadow that they're pushing it onto everything. They're projecting it onto their kids.
And and we know as Aphrodites that there's something missing in the way that we do things. There's no doubt. And the same thing as Psyches know that there's something missing in the way that they do things too. Mm-hmm. For example, if your husband, I mean, if we look at it that way, it's like Psyches don't enjoy sex the way an Aphrodite does because an Aphrodite allows herself to enjoy sex. So she knows there's something missing there, and she doesn't understand why. She doesn't let it go because she's not allowed to in that archetype. Whereas you have, the Aphrodite woman saying that she knows there's something missing because the softness is missing. Right. The willingness to let yourself be soft is missing.
In the extreme, it's like a partner who's going to be around for a long time is missing.
Yeah. Because you need to let your guard down. Right. I mean, Aphrodite, she's war. Yeah. I mean,
Aphrodite's not the marrying type.
No. No, because she's there to create war and destruction, and she's gonna tsunami your ass. And who wants to marry that? And so you have to let go a little bit, and you have to allow that, and you have to feel comfortable laying on his chest and all that good stuff. And
I like that.
I know you do. But knowing this stuff, I mean, I know you're probably sitting there like, for those of you who refuse to look inside and all that good stuff because you're too strong for that shit and therapy's for weak people and all that kind of stuff. This is called Jungian therapy.
My guess is that if they're watching this show, they don't believe that.
But you may know people like this. Yeah. But also, this is kind of stuff that's kind of out there because, most of the therapy you're going to get nowadays that your insurance is going to pay for is brief therapy. Yeah, brief and that's all about what the hell's going on. Let's fix this right now. Stop it. Oh, you're anxious. Well, here, count to 10, shit like that. Right. Get out.
Here's a pill and count to 10.
Right. If you are blessed to be able to do some deep work, you're going to want to try to do, or at least read about, some archetypes and shadow work and things like that. Because that's going to get you to your core. That's going to get you to, oh crap, now I know why I do this when this happens.
Little side note, Jung was a contemporary of Freud, so this isn't like this was invented
last week.
It wasn't the 60s and somebody was, smoking something.
Archetypes have been around for thousands of years.
Yes, right.
Obviously, I'm talking about Aphrodite. I'm not talking about,
Right. And the concepts have been around, what? I mean, Freud, we got 100 and...
Well, let's see, Freud was 1918 to 1940 something. Yeah. So they were friends.
Century here.
They were friends at one point in their relationship. And then, in fact, Jung and him developed a lot of things together. And this is where they started splitting because Jungian therapy is more spiritual based and also sees human beings as multifaceted. Right. As multifaceted and connected. Mm-hmm. Whereas Freud, a lot more cynical, a lot more, he wanted to be an atheist. I think he was an agnostic, actually. Saw the ugliness of religion, which I don't think he was wrong about. He's the one that said that religion was the opiate of the masses, and actually it was him or Marx, one of the two, but he really agreed with it. Right. And he did Totem and Taboo, and basically created a theory of where religion came from, which was pretty fucking awesome for that time. To be able to be that ballsy, where it came to being able to describe the basis of religion as an edible complex, which was, but I'm sorry, I'm psych geeking out on you. But the Jungian stuff, very powerful stuff, I like Jung. I'm not, as a therapist, I'm not Jungian. I do respect a lot of his stuff. I do use a lot of his stuff, because that was something I used personally. Okay.
Right.
No, there's a difference, because I could, it's kind of like a painter who is like, oh, I can respect and admire people like Rembrandt, but I actually paint like Jackson Pollock.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, because you know, a lot of your specialty was in substance abuse, and
right.
They don't really allow.
You don't have that time.
You don't really have the time.
You don't have the time, but also it doesn't necessarily. Yeah, it's also it's kind of like somebody, you're telling someone to dig deep with a shovel, and it's kind of hard at that time. Yeah. You're not ready for that.
True. Right.
So for personal use, yeah, Jungian stuff, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the kind of stuff I do all the time. Anyway, so I'm more. If you're wondering, you probably aren't, but I'm more Albert Ellis, the rational emotive therapy, Glasser, reality therapy. People like that. I enjoy. I like that. I'm also very family systems. Love that kind of dynamic, Bowen, things like that.
I mean, even the brief cognitive. That's.
Yeah, I could do all that stuff.
Right.
I'm not saying I can't, but it's not where I'm comfortable. I think people are deeper than that.
Right. The only reason we talk bad about it is because
it's not good enough.
It's very insurance oriented.
Yeah. And it's not nearly as good enough. And I think I think it's a disservice to say that you're going to get better in 10 sessions. Well, yeah, you probably will. But if you're going to have 10 sessions, I would tell you to go find a hypnotherapist, a clinical hypnotherapist. You have 10 sessions. In 10 sessions, you're gonna pull out some of the deepest stuff that you've found, that you could find in that body of yours. But 10 sessions is not enough. That's it's just not enough, and it's a crime. It's kind of like saying, oh, we're only going to take out half of your appendix. The half that's infected. Yeah, it's not fair. Anyway, back to wives.
Okay.
Back to wives. So, knowing now that you know all about archetypes and you're like this much closer to being a Jungian therapist, how does that matter and why would it matter? Well, let's see. When it comes to being a good wife, let's see, in the area of being a mom and a wife, I think one of the things that we as wives / mothers kind of do is that sometimes we forget to be wives and decide that we're only going to be moms. Now, this is a big deal now. This is, if you read, this has been going on forever, but this is really a big deal now because more and more women are getting the idea that even when they become mothers, they need to remember to be wives also. And then you have those who, oh my God, the moment I had my baby, I became completely transformed, and all I wanted to do is take care of that child.
You speaking from your Aphrodite again.
I have a hard time with those women. I respect motherhood. I am a mom. I have 3 children. I know the pain of childbirth. I know the pain of losing a child. I had a miscarriage. I know all that stuff. I know. I get it on a visceral level. However, that doesn't make it healthy. So, a lot of women decide that once they have those babies, that's it. Daddy's on their own, husband's on their own, and I'm gonna, they've done their studying job, and I'm going to dedicate my life to these children. Now, this is where you start seeing the breakdown in a marriage. If this is not solid, and you have children, that's going to break it.
Yeah. Anybody who thinks that children
strengthen a
relationship, they're crazy. As a matter of fact, a new study came out on happiness. Little side note, and the study pretty much showed that people who have children probably aren't happier, but they are more full of rationalizations on why they think they are. Which I can see. That makes sense.
And I would take it one step further and say that people who have children aren't happy because their marriages aren't happy.
Right.
You know, you could watch your kids and just be overjoyed. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like our kids are funny. You know, and we're very blessed to have funny kids. Our daughter makes me laugh a lot. Right. You know, which is a surprise, mainly because, you know, she's got Asperger's and she's blind and deaf and all that, but she makes me laugh. Like,
we move the furniture around and makes us laugh. No. So,
you know, she makes me laugh, like, because she's a lot like me, which is funny. And the sun just came out some more. I mean, she's a lot like me, and that's, you know, I react to the humor because it's like, okay, she's funny like me. She's got a very strong Aphrodite too.
Yeah.
And that makes me proud that I've raised her like that. Now, our boys are also very funny, and I have lots of joy watching them, playing with them, laughing with them, doing donuts in the parking lot the other night with them, you know, where they were squealing and laughing and all that. I have a ball.
Yeah.
Does that create enough happiness to basically blanket my life in happiness? No, because it's only one part of me. Mm-hmm. That's my mom part. But is that me?
And also, let's be real. Can the kids keep up that level of hee? You know, it's like, I don't know how happy you are at 2 a.m. when, you know, the 4-year-old has peed all over everything. Or is having a night terror.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
But you know, what does make me happy also is the fact that I have this one. And even sharing the mother-father load. And, you know, knowing that at some point I could stop being mom for a minute and be a woman. You know, and you know, make out or just get held or, you know, or laugh, our own private laugh. You know, that has nothing to do with being a mom or dad. And you know, like last night when we got into New York, I mean, even just the whole flight, it was horrible because there was you know, the big storms and everything was delayed, and everybody on our flight, except for us, I think, were on a connecting flight. So everybody on the plane is just pissed off. We had to circle for about an hour before we got to land because there was only 2 runways. And then afterwards we're trying to get off the plane. They don't open the fucking door. We're standing there and I'm talking to my cousin on the plane. And I'm like, and he's like, oh man, that's so sad that you guys can't get off the plane and blah, blah, blah. And I go, no, don't worry about it. It's cool. We ain't got nowhere to go. We're chilling. This is just an adventure for us. And basically the whole plane kind of revolted against us. Now, if I were not a happy woman, if I were more Psyche, less Aphrodite, I would have taken that as offensive because everybody was like, oh, you know, even though they were being funny about it.
Yeah.
I just had a ball with it and just started laughing at them because they had to go somewhere. I mean, I wish them all well, obviously. I hope to God they got to where they wanted to go, but we had fun with it because we were together. I didn't really care, you know, and I think that that's part of having a happy marriage and being a good wife is not stressing that stuff out when you're together.
Now, first thing, social people.
Hello.
You're on MTV, so write down when you're MTV.
I'm on MTV, yeah.
You're on Mingle Media TV.
Yeah, you're on MTV. Fantastic. Woo.
So definitely write down when you're on and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
You were saying, yes, promote. You were saying that you love that we maintain our separate parts. Now, not exactly. Okay? It's like, when we're talking about, because I don't know when you started listening, when we're talking about like the archetypes, these are extremes. The idea was to be somewhere in between, and even in the
I wouldn't
we
even
want
say
to,
that
yeah.
somewhere in between. I say that I embrace.
Right.
You know,
Embrace,
it's like, okay,
blended, all
right.
of
So
it.
if here I am as my Aphrodite, that bitchy woman, the powerful, scary, who says fuck a lot kind of woman, and my shadow is that demure, innocent, doesn't say fuck kind of girl, you know, I embrace her. I bring her in and allow myself to be like that sometimes, and allow myself to be the girly girl, you know, and not necessarily, you know, so in essence, in some respects, I let her take over, and sometimes I have to, you know, Aphrodite,
Right.
you know, and she's pretty much what's operating most of the time on me, but you know, there are other times where I get to be coy and innocent and all that stuff, and that's cool too. And I allow myself. You know, when we are forced to be the opposite, we get very uncomfortable. We get very uncomfortable in our own skin, and that happens to us when we're, like, you know, stressed. You know, if there's a lot of stress on you, like for example, if in times of grief or in, you know, a lot of stress, women who are very Aphrodite get very uncomfortable because they have to show emotion. They have to show what we would consider more the weak emotion of crying and all that. Whereas we know, with, you know, from our psyche side, that actually is a very powerful part of us too. But we don't allow that because that shows our weaknesses. Now, were you talking about that kind of crap, or are you talking about this kind of crap?
Actually, she's saying that she meant, you know, motherhood.
That's what I thought too, because he just jumps into
No. This is actually where I was going.
Okay.
You know, is that even with that, sometimes we separate them. Okay, we separate, you know, motherhood and womanhood out because, well, kids demand motherhood.
Right.
You know, so just to balance the scale.
However, we do. I do maintain the well, this is what I always say, and this is what drives me crazy about some women. You never take your kid's side. Never take your kid's side, especially when it's against your own husband. Okay? I have never, even if I've thought that he's gone overboard, even if I've thought or that he's like off the mark when he's doing things, like, you know, disciplining or telling the kid something, I don't ever argue with him in front of the kids. Because they know that they can't split us. And splitting is the number one thing that messes up a relationship. Children are excellent at that, and and it is a manipulation that is inbred in our tissue. We know it. We know how to do that before we're even able to know our ABCs.
She has 7 of them.
Holy crap! Oh my God! What the hell? 7? Oh no, that's not. Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you. 2 more, and you can have a baseball team.
That's right.
Have 4 more and have 2 relief pitchers. Good Lord, 7? Okay, we got 3 of them. They know they can't split us.
No.
You know, and we look at other people's relationship and how easily the kids split them. Easily, like, Mommy, can I do this? No. Daddy, can I do this? Yeah, sure, go ahead. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you just heard her say no. How could you say yes?
Yeah.
Well, because it's that need for us to be loved. You know, it's like, this is why parents really need to do their own work. Do you need your kids to think that you're the cool one? Do you need your kids to believe that, oh, Mommy loves me more than Daddy? Then you've got a big problem. If you're only validated by the love of your children, well, then you shouldn't be watching us. You should actually be in therapy right now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Because that is probably the sickest place to be as a mother. Okay, that is where you're saying that these kids were brought on this earth to love you.
Yeah.
And you are no better than a 13-year-old girl, and this is harsh, a 13-year-old girl having a baby to love her.
Yeah.
You could be a 35-year-old woman doing that, and you're basically in the same exact place. Okay? And what you've done is pretty much told your husband, screw you, you're on your own, these ones are going to love me.
Yeah.
Because I know at some point you're going to cheat on me, or you're going to hurt me, or any of that stuff. Yeah. It's like, it's so sick. There's no, and of course if you're watching this and you're hearing this and you do this kind of thing, you're going to be like, oh, screw you, woman, what do you know? I know. Trust me. Because then your kids are going to end up in a group of mine somewhere down the line because they're addicted to something. And they can't get rid of their mommy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. I am not my kid's best friend. I am here to raise them.
Exactly.
I agree. Yep.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Right. You're putting out,
You know.
from a very business point of view, you're putting out a good product.
Mm-hmm.
That is your job.
Yeah.
To raise people who are going to be good to the rest of the world.
Exactly. It's like I remember telling a family member of mine that I don't raise my kids for me. I raise them for the world.
Right.
I don't need my kids to love me. I don't need my kids to think that I'm the best in the world. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that it's not. I like it. I like it when they say, I love you, Mommy. It touches me deeply, but they don't have to do that. And that's, having that kind of attitude as a mother really is powerful for the wife part of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because then you could remember that you guys are a team.
Right.
Now, in the case of a single mom, it's tougher because you don't have somebody to rely on, or a single dad. You don't have somebody to rely on. But if you have a partner, if you are blessed to have a partner with you,
use
moms
them.
and or dads, you use them, because it doesn't have to be one of you. It's both of you. Both of you have put down the edict. This is the way that it is. This, neither one of you is going to shank the other one to get more love from the kid. Okay? That creates that strong bond. In family systems therapy, we have hierarchies. Okay? And in the hierarchy, the top shelf goes to husband and wife. Not mom and dad, husband and wife. That is the number one relationship you should be concentrating on. Number one. Then your mom and dad. After that, the kids. The moment that mom, wife, decides that it's her and the kids against dad, then she drops herself into their category and then raises the hierarchy where the kids are on top and dad's here by himself. That won't work. That relationship is doomed.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of relationship that, let's say that they decide to stay together. The moment the kids leave, he's out.
Mm-hmm.
He is out of there. You have not given a crap about him for so long, he's gone. Okay? That isn't being a good wife. That's really not being a good mom. So, if you want to be healthy about it, deal with your marriage. When you're parenting, do it equally. Keep those kids in their place. Down. Like we have our kids are smart, and we're really blessed to have smart kids. Thank you, God.
Mm-hmm.
Our middle child, Bobby, he's 7. He's a really smart kid.
Yeah.
And he figures shit out. It's not like, this isn't rocket science, people, it's parenting. It doesn't take much. It's all about keeping them safe, corralling them, and stuff like that. So, this kid, when we're talking to his younger brother, Ricky, who was 4, will step in and just start doing it too. Now, if you look at the hierarchy, what he's doing is taking himself out of the kid role and putting himself in the parenting role.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for many of us, when we grew up, our parents didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's easier.
Our parents were like, sure, you parent them. My mother would always say, oh, your sister's in charge. Your sister's your mom, too. And she would tell me that I was my brother's mom when she wasn't around. Talk about messing up the hierarchy. So, we need to push him down. He's right, but we still need to push him down. because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for him. It's not safe for him. You know, because then this is a kid who's going to be in therapy, 20-something years from now, going, oh, and I had to take care of my brother and parent my brother. You don't want that. That's not correct. Okay. Oh, it's almost done. Oh, so then anyway.
Okay.
Parenting, priorities. Wow, we've been going on. So, how much more? We have 5 minutes?
5 minutes, yeah.
Sorry, I don't even have my glasses on.
4,
I can't see that far. Little teeny weeny writing. Yeah, as I become, and part of being a woman, I get to embrace certain things nowadays and new things. For example, in the last couple months, I've really started to realize, wow, I'm going through menopause. And this is a big deal because this is part of being a woman that we don't hear a lot about. We know it's coming. It's kind of like a tsunami. We know it's coming, but when you start experiencing it, you're like, what the hell? What happened? I thought I was still young and all that stuff.
Yeah, by way of archetypes, this is the great equalizer, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Because you do want to get all, ooh. And then at the same time, you're raging against it, going, wait a second, now I'm getting old. But it's also very invigorating because, this is not something that you ever thought you were going to get to. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like everybody has that Mick Jagger kind of thing, I'd be dead by 30 kind of thing. But I don't know, it's been interesting. I mean, like yesterday, good golly, Miss Molly, I had, I don't know how many hot flashes I had yesterday.
She looked like she was running.
I was on fire. I was on fire. I thought, at one point.
It's a milestone, have a party. Yeah.
I thought, and then, the crappy thing about it is that you're still getting your period and stuff, but your whole body is deciding, no, we're just shifting crap around because, so I'm in both worlds, I'm still young enough for this and now getting too old for that. And so, yeah, yesterday I could have sworn I was running on the sun. Mm-hmm. Because all of a sudden I'd be like fine and then my face would flush and I'd start sweating from parts of me that I didn't even know I had. Last night we were here in New York, and it's like 30 degrees outside. I'm so hot that I'm dying.
Except for your feet.
Except for my feet.
Yeah. She basically had a heat gradient as her head went up, as we went up.
Oh yeah, no, it's like this, I'm sweating on the head, and by the time it hits to the feet, they were frozen. Mm-hmm. So they're under the covers, so... Interesting time to be a woman. Interesting time to remember that I am woman first. Mm-hmm. This is almost like God's way of saying remember that you're a woman first. And I think that that's something as wives we forget. That there are other needs. There are other things we need to satisfy us globally. Not just, having children or 7 of them. Just a mere thought, I'm 45 years old and I have a 4-year-old. That's scary.
She left the room. Stephanie, can you put her stuff up?
Yeah, social people. What is that on?
Yeah. Yeah, put it up, please.
And
keep going. We only have about another minute, 2 minutes, minute and a half.
Minute and a half. So next week,
yes,
we are going to be talking about husbands. Now,
it'll be a short show.
It'll be a short show. Assholes, move on.
About maybe 10 minutes.
But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the incredibly shitty PR that husbands have. I mean, every time Charlie Sheen opens his mouth, trust me, it affects them.
Uh-huh.
It's like every woman in the world is going, oh my God, you see, this is why you can't trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every man's a Tiger Woods, every man's a Charlotte Sheen, every man, they just have the shittiest PR.
I have not done, blow off of a hooker's ass.
In years.
Yeah.
In years.
Well, months. Hours. Minutes.
Okay. We are in New York, so who knows what's going to happen later.
So we got like 30 seconds.
So wonderful to see you guys. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. you know, same bat time, same bat channel.
Right.
Here on Mingle Media TV. This is Relationship Rehab with Lee and Paul from coupledom.com. If you want to read our stuff, go to coupledom.com, follow us on Twitter at coupledom, and come back to Mingle Media. And like Social People, whenever that's on. Did she ever say?
No.
I don't know. Have fun in New York. And we are about to. We're going to a show tonight. So, love you guys. Are we almost done? Bye.